I have a lot of people that actually went down there when it first started. So I've kept in constant communication with them. Uh, they're very thankful that a lot of people have come out to Missouri to show their support, but they also feel like there has been a lot of people that are filtering in that are just want to be there to say that they were there, right? But what are you giving to the community besides, agitating stuff, you know what I mean? Besides being an agent provocateur. So, I mean, I always tell people if you're going to go there, make sure that you work with local people, that you're helping them to actually achieve a goal, because they have an organized process that they're building right now, from what I hear from the activists. And I think that what the police want, in a sense, is to disrupt that, is to egg them on until they feel like their reaction has to be that. That's been a typical move by authorities for years. And now, that people are discussing where their training comes from, that's a whole nother story. Some people say that they get training from IDF or they use tactics that are militarized. Now, whether or not these facts at some point come to light, that is a very important thing to consider, Vlad, because the thing about Ferguson is that people are looking at this old law that exists called posse comitatus that came into effect after the Civil War in the United States. And the law basically says that a military entity cannot act as a police force within the United States of America. It can't enforce state laws on people. So now we see that there's a series of loopholes around that, because you don't have necessarily Marine Corps down there. And again, they did this for a specific reason, Vlad, because a military force is not supposed to be a peacekeeping force, a police force. If you don't answer the questions of a police officer, you might be put into prison, right? Or you might be put into jail or something like that, Vlad. But if you don't answer the questions of an interrogator, they're gonna torture you. This is not a game, this is not a joke. They have people's lives on the line, or at least they believe people's lives are on the line. So if they feel like they need to get intelligence from you immediately, they'll sleep deprivation, whatever, tie you to a car battery in front of your fucking kids. They don't care, Sure, the purpose of the military is not to kill people. It's supposed to save lives. But in the way that it's been used by the United States government over the past decade, and, even in the Obama administration, that people thought things were going to change. It hasn't. So there should never be a military entity governing over civilians the way that we see in Ferguson. I think that it was very telling. There was a lieutenant general down in Katrina. I believe his name was Honoré. And you could see the YouTube tapes of him telling the soldiers that were pointing guns at the people who were basically homeless and wandering around the street in New Orleans. He said, put those guns down. He came in and he said, listen, your job as a soldier is to protect these people, is to help them. You know what I mean? Is to go amongst them, to carry their children, to bring them water. Like, what the hell are you pointing a fucking 50 cal at them? They don't have the capacity to shoot back at you. They don't have the capacity to, small arms fire, whatever they want to drum up for propaganda against the protesters. Like I said before, yeah, there were agent provocateurs, but the community itself is holding down an incredible amount of pressure. And for them to be as organized as they are now, especially young people, I'm very proud of them. And unfortunately, someone had to lose their life over this. And that's incredibly sad, that this type of unity had to come from such a despicable act of shooting someone that's unarmed. I think that a whole generation of people feel like they're being criminalized, and they feel like the only thing that the old guard of the civil rights movement does is come and pacify them. They don't organize them into taking any specific action against what goes on. And I don't mean throwing some Molotov cocktail of Colt 45. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about giving police the Billy D. Williams special. No, we're talking about potentially saving people's lives by having a genuine conversation about racism in this country. And that's another thing, Vlad. People don't want to have that conversation because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And usually the people that don't want to have that conversation aren't people of color. I'm sorry if you don't feel uncomfortable, but the fact that people are getting killed over you feeling uncomfortable, you can feel uncomfortable for a little while. It's going to help us have a conversation about the excuses that were made for slavery, for Jim Crow, for all of these things that led up to where we are today. And people that see no cultural connection between that are just either ignorant on purpose, or unfortunately they were never taught anything about how this country developed. This story didn't start when a kid was shot in the middle of the street. This story started years ago, when communities were marginalized, when people were given no opportunity whatsoever to petition their government. And then, of course, we got to deal with this one. I love this one, Vlad, when people go, oh, well, niggas get killed all the time and y'all don't care. But when a white person does it, it's not about that, Vlad. We're not talking about just a white person. It's not about just race. There's also a class factor. This don't happen in wealthy, incredibly affluent neighborhoods. It also doesn't happen to people whose parents can afford to sue the shit out of the city because they know who to fuck with and who not to fuck with. And the other thing is, Vlad, that yes, someone from your community who looks like you can kill you, and no, there's not going to be some sort of national outrage. But you know why? Because if that person gets caught on tape shooting you, they're going to go to jail. Even if a cop gets caught on tape shooting you in the back when you are unarmed, when you lying flat on the ground in Oakland, you're not going to jail. You find no weapon on a teenager who now you trying to justify it, and the police strategically released the tape, who they allege is him, to say, hey, now, this guy deserved to die, or he wasn't as innocent as you think he is, because he had an argument with a store clerk. Dude, I've had an argument with a million store clerks. I've walked out a store with an extra Dutch one time over a stupid argument. Nobody called the cops on me. I walked down a block or something ignorant like that happened. And guess what? You know what? When I went to Penn State, Vlad, for that year, I saw a lot of white kids steal a lot of shit from stores. As a matter of fact, they stole a lot more shit than the niggas that lived in my building complex did. And they didn't deserve to get shot over it. They deserve to have themselves summarily executed and have somebody play judge and jury while they were sitting there looking over them. So I feel like for me, there are definitely more questions that need answers about that. And there needs to be a new guard, I would say, of young people that are coming in to help the community, to do activism, to sacrifice their personal time. These people need to step up now. And I'm not saying that because I'm not going to step up. I'm going to do whatever I can. But we need more young people that are watching this right now to say that they are tired of being complacent. They are tired of being apathetic. And also that they're not going to react basically solely on emotion. You have to be a thinking man. This is a chess game. They are already playing and they know what moves to pull. When you come into this game and you're fighting against a national platform, when you're fighting against the national media, if you look at it, the media treats white suspects who are, going on trial for shooting dozens of people, for multiple homicide. It treats the suspects of those shootings who just happen to be white better than it treats the victims that are black of police shootings. Like if you look at them, there was some article, I forget where, but I posted it on the Instagram, and it showed literally victim by victim. The Alabama dude, was a great guy, studied in class hard, Trayvon Martin, suspended from school 3 times. Another kid, he was mixed up with drugs when he was young. You know what I mean? So therefore what? That means that it should just be obvious. Oh, well, of course he died. But if he happened to be a well-to-do white guy's kid, then, oh my God, I can't believe that he would ever do that. As if that's out of character for them and it's in character for us. As if we're the ones who came to this country and enslaved people and put them there. And I think that's the problem, that when you have an oppressor that doesn't like the narrative about the truth of history, then he blames and switches the narrative so that it almost seems like the people that were oppressed are the ones that are doing the oppressing. You know what I mean? Like, there are people out there who think, oh my God, no, these people are savages. They have to be stopped. We have to preserve white society. Dude, when you talked to me before on camera about how you went to Russia and you saw how things had changed, obviously, since the time you left when you were a child, but you still felt it in the air about communism and about how it's not a democracy. Well, guess what, Vlad? We became a democracy in America in 1967 when they finally allowed certain people the right to vote. But when you go down there to certain parts of the South, you feel that air, that same air that you'll feel somewhere in Russia when you're like, well, damn, communism is maybe supposedly gone, but it's right around the corner. So white supremacy may supposedly be gone, but it's right around the corner. Now you got KKK members coming in saying they want to preserve the peace. I mean, how much more ridiculous can we get on this one, Vlad?